My name is Hannah Brooks. And 3 days after we buried our parents, my older brother threw me out of the family house with a single suitcase. Flushed heartbreak. No warning. No discussion. He stood in the doorway while I cried and said, "Dad left this house to me. You're not family anymore." I remember standing on the porch holding my mother's sweater while neighbors watched me like some unwanted stranger. I had nowhere to go. No money. No backup plan. But 1 week later, during the official will reading, the family lawyer opened a second envelope my father secretly left behind. And the moment my brother heard what was inside, his face lost all color. Because the daughter he abandoned was actually the one person my parents trusted most all along. My name is Hannah Brooks. I grew up in Denver, Colorado with my parents and my older brother Ryan. From the outside, we looked close. But inside our family, Ryan and I lived completely different lives. Ryan was charismatic, confident, loud. Dad loved that about him. Meanwhile I was quieter like Mom. Responsible, careful, emotional. I spent most of my childhood trying to avoid conflict while Ryan created it constantly. Still, despite our differences, I always believed family would stay together when life became difficult. I was wrong. When I was 26, both my parents died within 7 months of each other. Dad suffered a sudden heart attack. Mom emotionally collapsed afterward and lost her battle with illness not long later. Losing them destroyed me completely. Especially Mom. She was my safest place in the world. After the funeral, the house felt unbearably empty. Every room carried memories. Dad reading newspapers at the kitchen table. Mom singing softly while cooking dinner. Meanwhile Ryan transformed almost immediately after their deaths. Cold, impatient, aggressive. At first I assumed grief caused it. People mourn differently. But soon I realized something darker was happening. Ryan became obsessed with inheritance. Bank accounts, property papers, insurance money. He constantly asked questions about assets while I still struggled sleeping at night. One evening only days after Mom's funeral, I overheard him arguing with his girlfriend Ashley in the garage. Once the house sells, we're set. My stomach tightened instantly. Sell? Nobody discussed selling the house yet. At least not with me. The next morning I confronted him carefully. Ryan barely looked up from his phone. "You can't afford this place anyway." I stared at him confused. "What are you talking about?" Then he finally looked directly at me. "Dad left me control of everything." Everything. That word echoed painfully in my chest. I asked to see documents. Ryan immediately became defensive. "You don't trust me, honestly." "No, not anymore." But before I could respond, he walked away. Over the next week things became unbearable. Ryan started replacing locks, moving Dad's office files, speaking to real estate agents secretly. And worst of all, he treated me like an inconvenience inside my own childhood home. Then came the night everything exploded. I returned from grocery shopping and found my belongings packed beside the front door. Trash bags, boxes, suitcases. For several seconds I genuinely thought I was hallucinating. Then Ryan appeared behind me calmly. "Ashley's moving in next month." I felt physically sick. "You packed my things." Ryan crossed his arms. "You need to figure something else out." I started shaking. "My parents just died." Wrong thing to say. Because Ryan suddenly snapped aggressively. "They were my parents too." I stared at him stunned. Then quietly whispered, "So why are you acting like this?" For 1 second, I actually saw guilt flicker across his face. Then Ashley walked downstairs and everything hardened. Again, Ryan pointed toward the door. "You need to leave tonight." That sentence broke something inside me permanently. Not because I lost the house. Because in that moment, I realized I had truly lost my brother too. I spent that night crying inside my car parked outside a cheap motel. I kept replaying childhood memories trying to understand how we became strangers. The next morning my Aunt Linda called after hearing what happened from neighbors. Apparently Ryan didn't even try hiding it publicly. She was furious. Immediately she offered me her guest room temporarily. And honestly, her kindness probably saved me emotionally. Because grief mixed with betrayal becomes unbearable alone. A few days later, the lawyer scheduled the official will reading. Ryan arrived confidently wearing an expensive suit. Ashley sat beside him smirking slightly. Meanwhile I felt exhausted emotionally. I honestly expected nothing anymore. The lawyer, Mr. Bennett, began reviewing standard documents calmly. Savings accounts, insurance distributions, retirement funds. Most assets were indeed divided heavily toward Ryan because he helped Dad with the family business for years. I could already feel Ryan relaxing smugly. Then the lawyer paused unexpectedly. He adjusted his glasses slowly. There is also an additional sealed letter your father requested be opened separately. Ryan frowned immediately. What letter, Mr. Bennett opened a second envelope carefully. Then he looked directly at me. This portion concerns Hannah specifically. The room became completely silent. My heartbeat pounded violently. Then the lawyer started reading. Apparently years earlier, my parents quietly purchased a second property investment under a private trust. Not under Ryan's control. Mine. Completely mine. A fully paid lakeside home worth nearly $900,000. My breath stopped. Ryan looked stunned. But the biggest shock hadn't come yet. Then Mr. Bennett continued reading Dad's handwritten words aloud. Hannah, if you are hearing this, then I fear your brother has become exactly who I worried he might become after we were gone. Ryan's face instantly changed. Panic. Real panic. The letter continued. You were always the heart of this family. Your mother and I trusted you not because you were loudest, but because you were kindest. I started crying immediately. Hard. Because hearing Dad's words after losing both parents shattered me emotionally. Meanwhile Ryan looked furious now. Then came the final part. Ryan receives the business. But Hannah receives the one thing more valuable than money, our complete trust. Silence consumed the room afterward. Ashley looked stunned. My aunt started crying quietly. And Ryan, he couldn't even look at me. Then Mr. Bennett added one final sentence. Your parents also specifically requested Hannah retain lifetime ownership rights to the original family home should she ever choose to return. Ryan exploded instantly. That's impossible. But legally, it wasn't. Apparently my parents predicted exactly what might happen. They knew Ryan could become selfish once money entered the picture. And they protected me quietly beforehand. That realization broke my heart and healed it simultaneously. Because even after death, my parents still tried protecting me. After the meeting Ryan followed me outside. For once in his life. He looked small, not confident, not powerful, just broken. He whispered, "You think you won now?" I stared at him sadly. This was never supposed to be a competition. But greed changes people, especially people who already measure love through ownership. Over the following months, Ryan's life slowly unraveled. The business struggled financially. Ashley left after money problems began. Several relatives stopped speaking to him entirely. After learning how he treated me. Meanwhile I moved into the lakeside home my parents secretly left behind. And honestly, for the first time in years, I felt peace there. Quiet mornings, lake sunsets, Mom's old piano near the fireplace. Sometimes I still cried deeply missing my parents. But eventually grief became softer, less sharp. Then 6 months later, Ryan showed up unexpectedly at my door. He looked exhausted, older somehow. For several moments neither of us spoke. Then finally he whispered, "I'm sorry." Not dramatic, not emotional, just honest. Apparently losing everyone forced him to confront who he had become. And strangely, I believed him. Forgiveness didn't happen instantly. Some wounds don't heal that easily. But little by little, we started rebuilding. Phone calls first, coffee meetings later, very slowly becoming siblings again instead of enemies fighting over ghosts. Today I'm 32 years old. The lakeside house still belongs to me. But more importantly, I finally understand something my parents tried teaching us our entire lives. Inheritance is not just money. It's character, trust, values, and sometimes the greatest gift parents leave behind is discovering who truly loved you when everything else disappears. Greed often reveals people's true character after loss. Real family is not defined by inheritance papers or property ownership, but by loyalty, compassion, and love during painful moments. And sometimes parents quietly see truths about their children long before anyone else does. Money can divide families temporarily, but character always exposes who people truly are in the end. If this story touched your heart, thumbs up, like this video. Bell, subscribe for more emotional stories. Speech balloon, comment below. What would you do if your sibling threw you out after your parents died? Flushed heartbreak.